Sports Podcast. This is episode 37, and we are your hosts, Alan and Alan. Before we begin, Alan has some pretty big news for everyone.
Yeah, been a crazy week with baseball this wild card round, but what a week for me. Me and my wife finally had our daughter Zoe, and of course she came Friday on my birthday.
Hey, happy birthday.
Like literally I got like 2 hours of sleep. I overheard Kirsten on the phone. I'm like, it's like 1:30. I'm like, what's going on? I'm like over here and trying to wake up, and I'm like, oh, is this really happening? So I got the dogs ready, and yeah, we went to the hospital, and sure enough.
Well, I'm sure it was happening. She was probably feeling contractions like, it's time. It's go time.
Yeah, it was like she was like every about 4 or 5 minutes, and
oh yeah,
they said if it stays like that for 30 minutes, come in, and sure enough, I was like, all right, I've been up for 30 minutes. You still happening? She was like, yeah. I was like, all right, let's go. And then
man, that sounds exciting.
It was, and 1:00 that day, at about 1:30, she was born. It's unreal.
That's awesome.
It's a life-changing experience. If you have gone through it, or it's definitely something that it's going to be etched with you. And then it's even crazier that it was my birthday. They're like, oh my God, it's your birthday. Like all the nurses. I'm like, yeah, it's my birthday.
Yeah. What's even crazier is they let you go home with it. It's like, here you go, take it away.
Right? It's like, okay, we're sending you home now. Like
exactly. Like, are you sure?
Like
instruction manual.
Oh God! And the worst ththing, with COVID being our first time parents, no classes. They're like, oh, I understand you probably haven't go to classes because COVID. Yeah, no. So the nurses came in for like breastfeeding because there's no classes of that, parenting information packets, the doctors, and it's like, okay, we're just gonna roll with it.
Yeah, man. Well, congrats.
Thank you. So first, at least we start with some good news before we go to some kind of bad news.
Yeah, man. So this week, it looks like MLB lost a legend, Bob Gibson. He passed away on Alan's birthday, the 2nd.
Yeah.
I heard he was under hospice care though, due to a battle with pancreatic cancer.
Yeah, he's been battling for at least a year now. So everyone knew something was going to happen soon, but not exactly when. But back in July last year, he announced that he had the cancer. So, and it was getting a hospice. So it's kind of like, okay, what's kind of like not know when is like not if, it's when kind of scenario, At age 84, you can't expect to have a great career, with Cardinals from 59 to 75 and 17 major league seasons. The 9-time All-Star, 2-time World Series champ, 251 wins. He's an exclusive 3,000 strikeout club and had a career ERA of 2.91. 2-time Cy Young winner, World Series MVP. You can't ask it. Then actually got an MVP trophy back in 1968, which is kind of unheard of when you think about pitchers back in the day. It's very rare to get an MVP award.
Yeah, man, he had a great career, and like you said, all of them with the St. Louis Cardinals. That's pretty impressive. I got a quote here from Dusty Baker.
Yeah.
So Dusty Baker said, Hank Aaron told me, don't dig in against Bob Gibson. He'll knock you down. He'd knock you down. He would knock down his own grandmother if she dared to challenge him. Don't stare at him. Don't smile at him. Don't talk to him. He doesn't like it. If you happen to hit a home run, don't run too slow. Don't run too fast. If you happen to want to celebrate, get in the tunnel first. And if he hits you, don't charge him down because he's a Gold Glove boxer. I'm like, damn, what about my 17-game hitting streak? That was the night it ended.
I bet, like we talked about Tom Seaver not long ago, and now Bob Gibson's like the Field of Dreams got 2 new starters this year, unfortunately.
Yep.
So, but and it was like a little salt for the St. Louis Cardinals, because we'll discuss it later. When they lost Friday and ended their season, then this news got announced. So, Jack Flaherty, who briefly met Bob Gibson a few times at the stadium, he tweeted out, "Thank you for all your wisdom. You are a legend." And Yachty played his entire career so far with the Cardinals. Izzo said it's kind of hard losing a legend. You can lose a game, but when you lose a guy like Bob Gibson, it's just hard. Bob was funny, smart. He brought a lot of energy. When he talked, you listen. It was good to have him around every year. We lose a game, we lose a series, but it's a tough thing when you lose one great man.
Yeah, man. Well said.
It is like, it hurts that right after they end their season that the news came out real late in the night. It was like, wow, that's unfortunate.
Yeah, I saw another post. I can't remember who said it, but it was something along the lines of Bob Gibson always seemed to be pitching when the batters weren't hitting on days the batters weren't hitting. Yeah.
Yeah. So, what a great, he was among his big honors. He was 31 ranked on the sporting news list of 100 great baseball players. He was elected to the MLB All-Century team back in 99.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, he was a great guy, his teammate, Joe Torre said a lot of great things. He was a backup color analyst for ABC Monday Night Baseball back in '76. And so, he did some commentating for ESPN in '95. He worked as Torre's pitching coach when he was with the Cardinals. So he's been around the game forever. And, he died a month after his longtime, teammate, Hall of Famer Lou Brock, and of course another pitcher like we talk about, Tom Seaver. So
yeah,
it's like, is this our three? Like our three, they say deaths come in three. Is this our three
That's
Hall of
what I was
Famers?
just
Like,
I was like, who's next?
like man, like we lost three greats this year. So hopefully we don't lose any more the rest of the year because 2020 truly sucks. So, as we talked about last week, season ending positions are getting let go. What teams going to direction? Well, this one I think we should have seen maybe coming, and that's the GM of the Phillies stepped down, Matt
Clintac.
No shocker, they fired their manager last year, and well, he was just a game away from making the playoffs out in San Francisco, which no one thought that was going to be a team this year.
Yeah.
And Philly collapsed. So was it really the coach? A lot of people ask that question, but now the GM who created this team, 5 years of organization, has stepped down and is walking away.
I don't know what it is, man. I'm not sure what the issue was going on with the Phillies. I didn't think it was the coach personally because, like I said, I like the guy. I don't know. He wasn't the issue in my opinion. But yeah, man, it seems like after 3 seasons of not being able to lead the Phillies to a winning season, let alone a postseason, I feel like it did cost him his job. Well, he thinks it's costing him his job because he's still going to stay with the organization.
Yeah, that's the weird part.
Another position.
Yeah, that like when they announced it, it was like, hey, he was hired back in October 15th, but he's stepping down as general manager and will be reassigned to another position or organization.
So that's weird, right?
So what are you going to be, a scout?
No, he's not. No, he's not going to be a scout.
What could you be that you have not done a great job as a GM to be in an organization somewhere?
Look, once you get that kind of position, general manager, you're not going to be a scout. He's going to step down to something almost as important, something higher up. I'm not sure exactly what title they're going to give him, but he's going to be doing something in the office, something behind the scenes, something close to the GM, but not GM. I don't know, man.
Like,
he has to, though.
Is it something where like he's like the
assistant to somebody,
like the right hand from the owner to the front office, like something where he
liaison?
Like it's just weird. Like, 5 years of not having great, baseball and stuff. And now you're going to step down, but somehow stay with the organization. But
right. And for now, they're going to, Ned Rice is going to take over as an interim GM. So is this guy going to be part of the hiring process? I mean, what's he going to do? There's no way he's taking that much of lesser of a role.
I'm assuming he can't be involved with the hiring. He's got to be within something with the owner. He must be real close to the owner. Somehow he got the job and still have a job with the organization
or like you said, I mean, he's stepping down. Maybe the owners still like the guy, wanted him to do the job, but he's like, look, I'm not doing it right. I'm going to fire myself. And they're like, well, we want you to stay with the organization. We like you a lot. It could be a situation like that. I don't know.
Yeah, the 40-year-old, he's been aggressive the last few years trying to rebuild his team. Most notably signing is Bryce Harper to that 13-year, $330.
Right.
Of course, other high-price signings, Zach Wheeler last year, Jake Arrieta, Andrew McCutchen. So, and of course, the most notable deal is, requiring JT Realmuto. So he has been busy. He has made some deals. It's just they have not worked out. Right.
And you know what? It kind of reminds me of the Mets when, like, every year on paper, we're like, hey, we look super awesome, and then we don't do anything. It kind of feels like that. So maybe they like the moves he's making. I mean, he is making moves, like you said. It's just they're just not working out right now.
Yeah. They had the 5th highest payroll in baseball this past year and didn't make the playoffs and extended playoffs. That's an issue. So
a big issue. I agree, man. Yeah, that's huge.
And it's funny because he signed an extension last offseason for a 3-year extension. So maybe that's why, because if they got to pay him regardless, he got the position in the team where, he's not the GM, but he's something in the organization. So they don't have to worry about eating that dead money and not getting his knowledge.
Well, I guess we'll find out what happens sooner or later because I just can't imagine what he'll be doing if he's not the general manager.
Yeah, I
But
really.
if he's stepping down, would they still have to pay him because that's on him? That's him quitting. You know what I'm saying? It's not like, hey, we're firing you. We're still going to pay you. If you're stepping down, that's completely different.
That's probably something they got to negotiate. Probably, I'm assuming. We'll see.
Like I said, I think they like the guy.
It
I
has
think
to be.
he just doesn't have faith in himself as a GM right now.
No.
So he's just not in the right mind. So we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
All right. So let's move on. The next thing we have is the Cubs. Well, the Cubs and Theo Epstein part ways. He's on a 5-year contract that ends next season in 2021. He's been the Cubs president, I think, since 2011. He's set to discuss a long-term plan for baseball operations, but like you said, he's thinking about leaving, I think.
Yeah, the biggest thing I think with that is, the shakeup last year with letting Joe Madden walk, bringing in new manager team, even though a familiar face, with Ross, but it still didn't work. And then the questions about what will this team be? Because we said this year is probably one of the last runs with this core group together, because a lot of them contracts are coming up where they got to pay. Are they going to try to keep this team? They're going to go rebuild mode. It's a big question, and I don't know. A lot of people are suspect. And then the rumor is possibly, future Mets owner Steve Cohen interested in Espen. But
I would be interested.
But if Anderson has already become the president, what is Espen going to do? Is he going to take maybe he liked he was a GM. The president probably was interesting. Probably maybe wants to go back being a GM.
I would absolutely
could be interesting if Mets bring him back as a GM.
Look, man, as far as I'm concerned, he could absolutely be the GM or president or whatever the Mets need if the Mets wanted to take this guy on.
Yeah.
I mean, he's been successful in bringing championships to Boston and Chicago,
yeah.
and he's only 46 years old.
You're talking about ending 2 of the longest droughts in sports history.
Absolutely.
So it's like, what if he wants to do anything? Like, what could he do? He could go to another sport. If he's that bored with baseball, he wants another task. Like, he might go to football or basketball. Who knows?
You're right. I mean, he's got the mentality to take a franchise, regardless of what sport it is, and turn it into a winning team. He's that kind of smart. So yeah, definitely a baseball guy. Like I said, I don't know if he's going to go to a different sport, but he's only 46. He's definitely going somewhere and making progress somewhere. So I think the Mets would love to have this guy.
Yeah, it's the biggest thing. If they do decide to mutual part ways this week, then it's the question is what he's going to do next. Is it stay in baseball? Is it going to go to a different sport? Take a couple years off to figure out what he wants to do? But like I said, this guy is so smart and has talent. Like, he could easily, but if they do decide, his contract runs out, if it's time to decide, it's probably a good transition time, because you don't want to leave in the middle of winter, decide like, oh, maybe this ain't right for us. Let's go ahead and do it now. Decide, because, winter, we got to make some moves, because we won our division. Unfortunately, our season didn't turn out the way it was, but we need to figure out what we need. And clearly the question, what we all thought about this all season, was we pitching. And that probably came back and bite them a little bit there at the end of the season.
Well, if I'm the Cubs, I'm finding a way to keep this guy around, because I think he's doing a great job. I'm not sure what's going on with the team itself. It might be in rebuild mode, and that could be another challenge for him. But as far as I'm concerned, this guy knows his stuff. He's going to find a job somewhere regardless.
Yeah, maybe that's it. He doesn't want to rebuild. He wants to just build a team who has pieces and that he can build around, and he can see the future where it's like, okay, I might lose 3 of my 4 core within the next 2 years, and then I'm about to start at square one where I'm going to suck for a couple of years.
Yeah, or maybe he's at the point where he's trying to build a dynasty. He wants a team that's going to invest in their players long term, and he's going for repeats.
And the rumblings of what we just said with Steve Cohen being the richest owner, you're going to have deep pockets.
Yeah,
it's what he wants to do, or does he say does he try football?
Well, yeah, that'd be great. Or is it already in the talks? Because look, he's like, okay, well, Steve Cohen's about to own the Mets. Steve Cohen probably already contacted him and say, hey, man, we're going to make this happen. So he's just getting his ducks in order so he can leave the organization and go to the Mets. I don't know. There's a lot of ifs, ands, buts, could be's. We'll see.
Yeah, we don't know exactly what he's thinking. he seems like a lot like a close friend, colleague of him. So it's unlikely that his departure would impact the job security of this track record. But it's just interesting what happens if he decides to walk away this week, and he will not be jobless long if it's his option. If he wants to take a year off, then he'll take a year off. But he is going to be a hot name, and besides the Mets, it won't surprise me if he goes out to LA for the Angels. You think you can have Mike Trout and you can fix that team and get his postseason, that'd be a big hot name there for LA.
Yeah, no, look, maybe it's time for the LA to do what all the basketball teams do and get big three or something there. I mean, Pujols is at the end of his career. You got Trout, you got Rendon. Let's bring another piece in there. Not like Chris Bryant, but maybe like somebody better,
Almost guarantee that I think they got to go hard on this offseason if you're the Angels. Well, go after Trevor Bauer.
There you go.
To get your ace. Yes. They need an ace out there.
Absolutely.
And it will not surprise me if they throw Garrett Cole money at Bauer. But, Bauer said he's willing to go year to year.
I think Bauer, what did he tweet, like the Red Sox or something?
He said he's up for anyone. And then, I think he was going to Boston for something. He said, Boston, you up first, and it made Boston fans freak out.
There you go. Yeah.
So, absolutely. Bauer's going to have fun with this free agency because this is his first time testing.
Yeah.
Most likely he's probably going to be the Cy Young Award winner. So he has all the things in the bunch, but it won't surprise me because Angels went after Cole last year. They'll probably go after the star pitcher this year. So we'll see what happens.
All right.
So, and then managers, we already talked about a couple weeks ago, the Tigers manager, retired. So it's like the coaching, they have to start making their lists. Well, two names that we know that have been suspended this past year are on that list of possibility being the new manager of the Tigers. That is Alex Cora and AJ Hitch. What do you think about this?
Yeah, man. After Ron Gardenhire announced his retirement abruptly at the end of the season, it looks like they're going to struggle to try to find somebody to take his vacancy. And you know what? I think why not? Prior to the cheating scandal, these guys were lined up to be managers this season. They obviously have the qualifications, but I've heard at this time that they haven't committed to interviewing Alex or AJ, so it's still the beginning stages of their vetting process. But why not put these guys in the mix? Because, like you said, these guys definitely are qualified to do the job. So I'm okay with it.
Oh yeah, like what AJ did with the Astros over his time, being one of the worst teams in baseball, to being consistent. Like hell, they're still in it now. It's like, and then, Alex, going to the Red Sox in first year and turning that team around to win a championship. It's like these are very smart, talented managers. Unfortunately, they did get the scandal. Now the full report, if they weren't really involved, like some people said, it was more of a players thing, then you got to look at it as, they're going to go first round, they're going to narrow the list down. They'll probably start doing Zoom meetings, then once they actually go to the face-to-face meetings, if they're on that list, then you'll know they're a legit possibility that these guys can become the manager. And so it's funny that, AJ and Alex are possibly going against each other for this position when they used to be coaches together.
Yeah, exactly. Well, they gotta eat too. They gotta find some work. So this might not be the only one they both attend.
Oh no, like if you think about it, 3 years removed from both their World Series runs.
Yeah.
It's, these are talented managers and like, why not? Why wouldn't you not look at these guys? And it's weird that we haven't really heard much. And of course, Alex's name is getting brought up to go back to the Red Sox. We don't know what Charlie's going to do up there in Boston. He's going to bring Alex back, go his own route. So hell, Hitch can go back to Boston. We don't know. Like, we don't know what Charlie is playing up there, but right now it's shocking that that's only those two positions right now.
Right.
It's kind of shocking that usually you hear about 4 or 5, but I wonder if more teams are like taking a slower process, thinking about things, because it was a weird year.
Yeah, I agree. I'm sure, once the World Series is over, we might hear more rumblings about openings. But we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah.
Speaking of World Series, let's talk about the wild card.
This wild card round. I'm kind of digging it. It was fun.
It was okay. It's a lot of one-sidedness.
Yeah.
But let's get into it. So the first one I want to talk about is the Rays against the Blue Jays. the Rays ended up sweeping the Blue Jays as we expected. I mean, I know you felt really highly about the Rays this year,
Yeah,
and you were kind of on the fence even if the Blue Jays would make it this season.
yeah,
I know that I picked the Blue Jays to make the postseason this year. I don't remember how far I thought they were going to go, but the Blue Jays, they should feel like they had a good season. They weren't expected to be here. They weren't expected to do this good, and we all expected the Rays to do pretty well. So nothing to feel bad about. They just weren't in a matchup that favored them. I felt like if they would have had some momentum going, and they would have went against the Rays in the next series, they might have had something going, but it was just a tough matchup. The Rays are a tough team, and they got a real chance of going all the way this year. So
yeah.
I it's expected.
Yeah, the biggest thing for the Blue Jays, if you think back, look at your season, is that you're such a young team. You have a top 5 pick this year draft that will be within the team the next year or two. The biggest thing, you addressed one of them this past year, was pitching.
Yep.
You got Ryu, so it's like you need that second, third guy. Could you easily go out and get one of those guys? That's a possibility. But you got to be happy about yourself where this young team performed. And then the Rays, one of the best pitching, rotation, and Snell, and then the Glasnow,
right.
They shut down the Blue Jays. And
well, what I like about the Blue Jays, what you just said, is that they went out and got some pitching, and now they had a little snippet of what their team can do. So now they have a better idea of what they need to get in the offseason.
Yes.
So I think they're going to look at this as a really good building year and say, all right, we know what we need to do to compete next year, so let's go and get it.
Yeah, because you really think about it, with that, God, I have a name blank right now, but the guy they drafted this year, which shouldn't have fell to them. If he comes up with the next 2 years, you think he's permanent shortstop. He might become second baseman.
You're talking about a guy who's supposed to be drafted like top 5 or something?
Yeah, that was like top 2, and he fell to 4 to them.
I don't remember his name.
Yeah.
I know you're talking about.
But Boshi can move to second. Like, you'll have like one of the best infields in baseball once you add him, and if he becomes the guy that everyone thinks he will be. So that's dangerous right there, especially if, gloves, then all you need is a pitcher that's a ground ball guy to almost sum it up. You don't have to go get an ace or something. You can just get a guy that complements you, which so it's going to be very interesting. Yes, with the 8 expansion, it's probably a year earlier for the Blue Jays, but the thought of like, okay, we did a great season. We got to the playoffs. Next year, let's go for – if they keep this expanded playoffs, let's go for that second seed guaranteed, which they almost did get from the Yankees.
Yeah.
They almost got it, but like, let's go for the division. Like, especially, so if I was a GM, I would talk to some of the top pitchers out there this offseason, see if they're interested to come. If not, find a key guy that you can use. And it will not be surprise me if we're talking about these Blue Jays for years to come.
Yeah, it won't surprise me either, especially coming out of a tough division.
Yeah,
we'll see what they do.
God. And then the Rays, they're my, preseason pick and postseason pick to win the AL still. And this team's just scrappy. They don't do much. Like, they don't have that power hitters, but they can when they need to. But with, Snell and then Glasnow as your 1-2 punch, and then all the other guys, it's just, this is why the team has lowest payroll, but why Charlie got the job in Boston, because they draft well, they make trades well, and they're just that team that they don't have to overpay people. Eventually, they're going to have to pay people. They want to keep some of these guys around, but if they don't, their timeline's running out. So this could be the year they make that run.
All
but
right.
I expect a lot. They're playing right now. It's 1-1 game for the next the next games that we're about to talk about, which it was a little shocking. I think mostly was game 1 was the shocker. The next series is the Yankees Indians.
Absolutely. Game 1 was absolutely the shocker, man. So yeah, like I know preseason, I think I had the Yankees going all the way.
Yeah.
I don't think I did that in our second round of picks just because I felt like the Rays are in a better place. But if the Yankees are playing like they did against the Indians, they better be back in discussion because their bats came alive. They averaged 11 runs during their 2-game sweep of the Indians.
Yeah.
Like you said, what impressed me the most is how they put up 7 earned runs against Shane Bieber in game 1.
Yeah, we're talking about the Triple Crown winner this year, most likely AL Cy Young winner, and probably a finalist for AL MVP
Absolutely.
And you're talking about this guy's been light outs, only gave up, I think, like 2 or 3 runs max this year for a game. And you let the Yankees put up 7 in 4 2/3 innings.
Right. The Indians absolutely needed the Shane Bieber from the regular season to show up for them to even have a chance in this series.
That's why I had the Cleveland, because I figured Shane Bieber would get it done game 1, and I didn't see the game 2 or game 3 both pitchers winning it for the Yankees, because once Bieber got one, they only need one more, and I figured Yankees couldn't do it, which Tanaka did give up the second game like 6 runs.
Right.
And I think 2 innings,
but when you're putting up 12 runs in the second game or something, you know, it's hard
it was 10-9. It was a closer game than what it was, but that 12-3 against Beaver, that had to take all the gas out of the Indians.
Yeah, and it
had to get your boy getting blown and pulled from the game.
Right, and what I'm saying is that kind of momentum shift for the Yankees could become detrimental against the freaking Rays game series, because look, the Yankees got to feel good about that win, those ones, especially what they did to Bieber. I mean, look, Bieber's in mid-season form. He should have been on the top of his game after what he's been doing all season long. It was shocking, to say the least.
Yeah, and you think about it, it's less starts, so these arms should be more fresh compared to what it would be for October baseball. So your pitcher should be way more better than previous postseasons and stuff.
Right.
So
and for a guy who's been lights out, I cannot believe he gave up 7. And I can't believe they let him stay in there long enough to give up 7.
Yeah, like, man,
once
it was
Bieber,
hard. It was hard to watch that game.
That's what I'm saying. Once Bieber gave up like 2 or 3, you should have known it was an off day.
Yeah.
Like, it's time to get him out of here.
Like, I understand it was game 1. Maybe they try to settle down because then they still have a chance to win 2 more. But
that's true.
Yeah, but God, try to get him through 5 and it just couldn't work out. They had to pull him. That had to. And then the next game, it was back and forth. And then, Chapman came in, last 2 innings, closed it out to win that series for them to advance to play the Rays, which is going on right now because we are recording on Monday night. Between baby and stuff, Sunday night was a little hard to do. But, right now it's 1-1. Unfortunately for this series that we'll talk about more depth, it's only going to be 5 games at max. I could easily see this series going 7.
I agree. So 5 games can be tight. So it's like bring your best of your best, and let's see what happens. So
yeah, especially if it goes 5, it's like who's going on short rests.
Yeah, that's
because it's 5 straight days.
That's definitely the series that I'm keeping my eye on the most right there.
Oh yeah. So this next series, I think it was a little shocking too.
Yeah, man. The next series, the Astros versus the Twins. I thought the Twins were going to take this one, but yet again, we had another sweep, and it was by the Astros.
I felt bad for Twins fans.
I
thought this would be the year, the end the drought. And it's like God. It's like if like a Cleveland Browns fan for football, it's like, oh, it's what it is.
Exactly.
It's like you make these moves. You thought this was gonna be the team, especially Houston being like their worst year yet with these guys, like career low average years, and like, okay, this is not a team. Well, Astros flicked the switch when it came to October baseball, and
especially Carlos Carrera,
because
he did well today too against the team they were playing. But he hit a 2-out home run in the 7th in the second game, I think, to give the Astros a lead, which ultimately ended up giving them the series win. But afterwards, it's what Carrera said is what is still reason why everyone hates them. He's like, I know a lot of people are mad. I know a lot of people don't want to see us here. But they're gonna. Well, but what are they gonna say now? Well, what I'm saying is you guys are still cheaters. It doesn't matter what you're doing today. It doesn't negate what happened in the previous seasons, right? Come on, man.
Right? It's, I don't know what to say. Like, Houston got done it, and especially without their pitching,
Yep. Well, I don't expect them to keep this momentum, but if they do, hey.
Greinke went game 1, respected, I figured if they had a chance, it would be game 1, but it was shocking after 4 innings, they pulled him, and then Valdez went in there and pitched the rest of the game, 5 innings, and shut down the Twins. And it was actually real close. It was 1-1 there to like the last inning. I was like, oh, we're about to go extras. And then Ramo came in and gave up 3 runs. Of course, 0 earned, I think, because I think it was an error or something. But, God, it hurt. I was like, wow. And then I was like, okay, well, I think Twins can win the next 2. And And next, nope.
Hey man, when you're in a 3-game series, like you said, it's tight. It's tough, man. Anything happen.
And it's bullpen. Beto's for the Twins. They're young. Starter. He went 5 innings, only 2 hits, 1 earned run. So it was still a 1-1 game. But then bullpen came in, gave up 2 more runs, and that was a difference maker.
Well,
and Houston's bullpen's been good lately, so that could be their saving grace.
we'll see how far they can take it.
Yeah, because they do have some guys that are going to be leaving free agency this year, so we'll see. And then Carrera, I think, is next year, I believe, so he'll be a free agent. So we'll see what happens with that. And then the final series of the AL, I don't know what to say about this one. This is the only one that actually went 3 games.
Yeah, I was going to say this series did not disappoint.
No, it didn't. Like this is what we thought it was, especially game 1 with Lucas Giolito.
Oh my God,
the no-hitter flirting with a no.
Look, and that's when I thought it felt good for the White Sox to ultimately take a win. He had a perfect game.
Perfect, yeah. I was like, it was more than no.
Perfect game going into the 7th inning.
Yeah, I was like,
tough.
I was like, dude, is he going to do? I swear to God, I was like, he does this. My ball is about to go even more.
And I'm pretty sure what's crazy, I could be mistaken. I'm trying to think. One of these games went like 13 innings. Was it this one or was it a different one? Might have been a different one.
You're thinking I think one of the NL series. Yes.
Okay. All right. Yeah. I
the Reds Braves.
We'll talk about. Giolito went out. Somebody gave up a run. But like I said, I figured the momentum that they would end the game in series 2 after that start, man, that start was great. But the A's had different plans. They said, look, guys, we're here to play. We're here to win. We don't care if you almost had a no-hitter going through the 7th. They came back, won back-to-back games, and now they're in the ALDS with the Astros.
Yeah, Lucas went 7 innings, 2 hits, only 1 earned run with 8 strikeouts.
He did his job.
He did. And then game 2, it was, Dallas Keuchel, which has been the best pitcher statistically on that team. He only went 1 1/3, gave up 6 hits, 5 runs, 3 earned, which it kind of blew. It's like, okay. Yeah. And then that final game, which was A's just went out early, and then Sox, I think it was too little too late. They scored 3 runs were in the 8th and 9th inning when till then it was 5-0 Oakland. Oof. So that one hurt them, and biggest one was, that was the Keuchel game where, it's like, you thought you could rely on him. But I think, what was it? Wasn't it game 2? The guy that you liked during the draft that they drafted.
The flamethrower?
Oh, no, wait. That was game 3. I think so. Because Keuchel was game 2, game 3. Yeah.
You talking about the flamethrowing lefty?
Dunham, I think, right?
Rookie?
Yeah, I think he was the one because I think he was the starter that day, or was he came out the bullpen?
I would have assumed he'd come out the bullpen in a playoff series.
Maybe it was.
I don't know.
Yes, he came. He was in the 2nd inning out there, and his gas was not there, so they pulled him. Unfortunately, so. They figured he was going to get a couple innings because they said it was going to be a bullpen game, and unfortunately, it just didn't happen for him that day.
Yeah, the biggest disappointment is I just, I like the White Sox. I wanted to see them go into another series and see what they brought, like a 5-game series at least. But hey, man, the A's are for real. We'll see how far they can go. I'm not sure if they can compete with the other teams in there, but it was a good series. It's one of the best series, I think, of the wild card.
Yeah, because what was it? Because the Rays, we knew they would probably win 2. The Yankees, Cleveland, I figured they could go 3. The White Sox, A's did go 3, and then Astro Twins, I didn't. It was shocking.
I thought it was gonna be the other way around.
Yeah, I really thought the Twins could easily take it 2 games and then wait and see who they get to play, but unfortunately, it didn't happen like that.
Well,
so. It's baseball,
Exactly.
And if the crazy thing you think about it, the Astros, if this was regular postseason, it would not have been the postseason this year.
Nuts.
and now they're in the ALDS. So,
Exactly. What the crap?
so it's interesting. So let's go and talk about this National League.
Yeah, man. So the first matchup I want to talk about is the Dodgers against the Brewers. As expected, I think I picked the Dodgers to win the whole thing both times. So the Dodgers, they took out the Brew Crew in 2 straight games. The biggest highlight to me was the fact that Kershaw was lights out. Um, like you said, in years past, he gets to the postseason. It's like, well, we got the postseason Kershaw, we got regular season Kershaw. He pitched game 2. He went 8 innings, gave up 3 hits and 13 strikeouts. Man, this might be the year that Clayton Kershaw has a great postseason and helps his team get to the World Series.
Yeah, just like I said, Kershaw is used to pitching 30 games.
Right.
He only pitched 12. So
Exactly.
his arm is ready for this postseason, and that could be the major factor why Dodgers can definitely win this year.
Yeah.
If you think about it, he finished in the top 5 of the ERA after missing 2 starts. And what we saw game 2, he'll definitely be out there game 1 tomorrow, I'm almost certain. But, yeah, this is Kurt Clayshaw. He wants to write his history, win his World Series. This definitely could be the year he does it.
I agree. He's been looking great. He's on a great team. These guys are giving him all the backup in the world, and he's looking like the Kershaw that we know. And it just so happens that the playoffs happened in the middle of the season, so his arm's got to be fresh.
Oh, it has to be. Yeah. And when the Dodgers have, when you have Jock Peterson to pitch hit, not the starter, to pitch hit in game 2, for Pollock, because that's how much people you have to rotate that, Dave out there has, ridiculous ability to line up, change. That says something when you have an all-star who was the top 4 in last year's home run derby. The guy has power. Oh, we're not gonna start you tonight, but you're gonna come off the bench guaranteed. And then it's just crazy when you have the ability to do that.
Yeah, exactly. So they should feel really good about their team. They're in a great place. The odds are definitely in their favor.
Yeah, and this could be the team where, like we said, we were surprised when they did the schedule that there's no days off. This team can literally throw out a pitcher every day and don't have to use no one
and
on rest.
Not even sweat it. Not even think twice about what they're going to do. They're going to be like, yeah, we're pretty solid regardless of what happens.
So if they wanted to be ready the bullpen just in case if we need them for game 5 kind of scenario.
Exactly. I would be shocked if it went to a game 5, but anything can happen.
All right, so the next one we're going to talk about is the other game that did go 3 games is the St. Louis Cardinals and Slam Diego.
Dude.
Man, series.
I thought the Slam Diego's reign was over, man.
After game 1?
Yeah. Well, the Cardinals, they took game 1 with a 7-4 win. And then game 2, the Cardinals are leading 4-0. And I was like, oh, well, this is how it's going to be until the 4th inning when the Padres came out. They cut the lead in half, making it 4-2. And then by the 6th inning, I think they tied it. I think they tied it in the 6th inning. And then there was runs scored in the 7th, 8th, and 9th inning. It was action all game, man.
Yeah, everyone got involved. Tatis homered, to make it a 1-run game. And then next person, Manny Machado, hit a home run to tie the game. Then Will Myers, takes the lead, and the Tatis homers again.
Right. Dude, what was nuts was, yes, the Cardinals are they were putting up runs every inning, but San Diego Padres were answering every single time as well. And unfortunately, the Cardinals couldn't close it up. And then after that happened, San Diego went on to win game 3, and they put up a donut. The Cardinals did. It was 4-0 in the last game.
Yeah, it was 4-0. Jack Flaherty, pitched a great game. And like we said earlier, with the news of Bob Gibson after the game, it was kind of a little salt in the wound for them.
Yeah.
But Flaherty went 6 innings, only 6 hits allowed, 1 earned run. You can't expect much from that. And then Alex Reyes, their young prospect, came out of the bullpen, pitched 2 innings, gave up 2 hits, 3 runs on 1 earned run.
But even if you look at how the game was going or the series was going, 4 runs wasn't anything. The way they've been playing, they needed offense, and they should have put up some numbers. So I don't feel bad for them.
Yeah, and this clearly, because this was a pure bullpen game for San Diego. Because with Mike Clevenger not be able to play this round, there's still hope for him to play next round. it was, all right, our bullpens will go out and do it. And sure enough, they did, and only allowed 4 hits. When your bullpen goes 9 innings for you, 4 hits, 3 walks, and 8 strikeouts, I said it's a great day.
Yeah, I agree.
So,
Absolutely.
and of course, you got a highly divisional round matchup, just like we just talked about earlier with the Yankees and Rays matchup. I wish we had 7 games because Padres and Dodgers will go 7 if could, but 5-game series, you got to hope for the best with those two going after each other.
If that goes the distance, anything can happen. I want to put my eggs in any basket at that
Oh
point.
no, like I really hope like whatever, game 4 happens, the opposite team wins so we can get that do or die game. Like bullpens are ready, starters are ready. It's going to be interesting.
I agree, man. What would be really interesting is if San Diego ended up playing the Yankees, because it'd be like 2 power hitting clubs right now.
God.
That would be interesting.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's move on to the next one. The next one I want to talk about is the Marlins versus the Cubs. And what can I say about this series other than the Marlins are still undefeated in the playoffs?
Like, I really thought the Cubs could, with game 1 with Hendricks going, could maybe quiet the Marlins, but I knew the scrappy team. And then, unfortunately, game 2 was rained out, so they had to play the next day. But it was on, the Friday of my birthday, so after the baby was born, it was like perfect timing because the game was about to start. So I watched it, and I'm like, oh my God, Miami's literally going to go on. I was like,
right.
And Darvish, it was a great pitching match. It was back and forth, and then Darvish just gave it up there at the end, and Marlins just kept it and swept the Cubs 2-0.
Right, and this is crazy because when Jeter took over the Marlins club, there was like a fire sale. He was getting rid of Giancarlo Stanton. Everybody else was leaving. I was like, oh, well, they're going to be pretty bad
Garbage
for the next
for years.
6-7 years. Right, and the Cubs is like, oh, the Cubs are pretty solid. They've been solid since 2015, and they should come in here and destroy the Marlins, because you and I both wrote off the Marlins prior to the season beginning, and to our surprise, little did we know they would make the playoffs, and not only that, they would sweep the Cubs. I mean, crazy. This is interesting. I can't wait to see how this plays out next series, but it's definitely in the makings of a Cinderella story.
If you think about some of these pitchers and players, how many moves that Don Mattingly, that's why we said last week he should be NL Manager of the Year. But
oh yeah,
when you have pitchers pitching in the postseason for your first time since winning the World Series, when they only before the season played in single A, double A, not triple A. They have not made the triple A, but because of COVID, they got called up, got the chance, and they're making the best of it this year. And
yeah,
it's insane.
They got nothing to lose. Why not?
They don't. And it's kind of unreal. This scrappy little young team they don't care, and they're in the NLDS now. They dethroned the Cubs.
Crazy, man.
Yeah.
And the Phillies and the Mets are sitting at home just not doing a damn thing, right?
Right. This is a team that was last place last year, terrible. And this year, because of some moves, they had to call up their young guys, which was probably a year too early, and actually might have benefited from them because of that COVID. Because if they didn't do that, those guys probably would have stayed up, never got called up, and they would probably have been sitting home right now if that didn't happen. So because of COVID, they made the postseason and could go on this unbelievable run.
Look, I'm excited to see what the Marlins can bring because, like I said, they haven't got much exposure. Everybody's writing them off, but they are undefeated in the playoffs. I don't know what to tell everybody else, but Marlins are playing it. They're doing their thing.
Yeah, definitely. So the last final series was the wild card round, which was hyped. I figured, how Reds were going to go, the young pitching in Atlanta.
Dude, this one absolutely shocked me. It shocked me.
Like when Bauer, shut down the Braves in the game 1, I'm like, okay, but then the Reds couldn't hit. Bad base running errors. It's like, what are you thinking getting caught in a pickle in a playoff game? And like error running, and it's like, y'all are doing terrible.
Well, right. And I agree, man, because like you said, it's another series that went 2 games. I expected to go 3 at least. That's all it could go. But the Braves decided they're just gonna go ahead and dominate the series. They didn't give up 1 run to the Reds, period.
Yeah.
That's disgusting because game 1, it went about as we expected it to. Trevor Bauer pitched 7.2 innings, didn't give up a run at all.
Yeah.
But like you said, the Reds did not give up any run support either. So it's just, and that's the one. This is the game that I was talking about earlier that went 13 innings.
Yes,
And they lost 1-0. So that one hurt. That set the man.
Bauer went 7 2/3, 12 strikeouts. Max Fred, after that missing that last start because of injuries, went 7 innings, 6 hits. But a couple of those hits should have been runs, but because of base errors, he got that 0 on the board. And then they just went to the bullpen, which Braves have one of the better bullpens, but Reds do too. But a little mistake there in the top, the bottom of the 13th with possibly MVP candidate Freddie Freeman knocking in that winning run.
Yeah, man, that was the momentum shift right there. I like the Braves. I thought the Braves were ultimately going to win this series, maybe because the Braves are good. We've been saying they've been good for a while. We haven't really heard much noise out of Acuna Jr., but that's what we thought was going to be leading the team. But 13 innings, that takes a toll on your bullpen and everybody else. And then the next game is kind of hard because you're playing back to back, or if they were, or close to it. If not, you never know the next game because it's only a 2-game series. So 5-0, you still,
Yeah, then game 2, Anderson for the Braves went six innings, 2 hits allowed, and was the only 2 hits that was allowed for that game. The bullpen came in, did their job for 3 innings, did not allow 1 hit, 3 strikeouts after that. And when your starter pitcher for the Reds, Castillo, a great young guy, lots to be expected of, but 5 and 1/3 inning, gives 6 hits, only 1 earned run, and then your bullpen gives up 3 earned runs. It's kind of hard to try to come back. But it said the hitting, the goose eggs, 2 hits.
Dude, you can't win like that. Not in the playoffs. I mean, look, you guys, I understand that, teams get hot, but when you get to playoffs, you got to be at your A game. You got to bring it.
And they were hot. That's the thing. I thought, this team's hot. I'm going to go. They had the momentum. I have faith in the Reds. They'll keep this up. And then they shit the bed come playoff time.
Yeah, man.
What was crazy. It? The day off, the travel to Atlanta, 3-all off? What was it? Man. So, after said and done, it was kind of shocking that no Central team from AL or NL made it past the wild card round.
Yeah, dude, it's mind blowing, especially if you think of how many teams from at least the AL Central went through. You know what I'm saying?
When you had 6 teams, right?
Dude.
Because the NL had Cubs, Reds, and Brewers. Cubs, Reds, Brewers. No, NL had 4 teams. You had 7 out of the 16 teams in the playoffs, and none of them made it out of the wild card round.
Dude, that's nuts. I don't know what to say. Other than the Cubs, though, I think that if you look at the teams from the NL, they weren't really that dominant. I feel like they were all about 500 winners, so they barely made it through. You got guys like teams that were 30-game winners. They didn't really separate themselves from wins and losses. They were about even.
St. Louis didn't get all their 60 games in, but still, they were only 1 game better than the Reds. Reds were terrible.
Mm-hmm.
They couldn't stay consistently. Then there at the end, they made enough run to get into playoffs. Brewers got in because some umpire didn't want the Giants to get in, a bunch of bad calls. It was so close.
Oh God, let's not get started on that.
And then Cubs, they just shit the bed against the Marlins.
And that's what I'm saying. The Cubs were the only team out of the National League that I thought, kind of earned their way in. Because they separated themselves. They definitely clearly had more wins than losses. But those other teams, they were on the verge. They almost had losing seasons.
Yeah.
But as far as the AL teams, your guess is as good as mine is why they couldn't win. I thought they were pretty good teams.
I think I had all 3 of them moving on.
Right. Exactly.
I thought Rays were the only ones besides them 3 would be in the AL because Cleveland got hot there last week. White Sox were cold, but I feel like against Oakland, they had a shot. And the Twins, they built for this run. I think they could, and especially Houston playing terrible this year, I thought they could pass them, and none of them did. It's dude, it probably hurts to be a Central fan, no matter who, NL, AL, no matter what.
Yeah, because even if your team didn't go through, you could at least watch a team from your division playing still. That's tough, man. I don't know what to say about that. They should all feel ashamed.
Yeah,
somebody got to represent, right?
Come on. Let's see. Out of my bracket, I got 1, 2, 3 right.
Yeah, hey.
Out of the 8 games.
Like I said, short season, short postseason, anything can happen. And hey, look, that's the theme that we've had this whole season. We said anything can happen in this kind of a season, and guess what? They're not proving us wrong.
Only good thing so far that my two World Series teams are still in it. So
Well, that's because they're too dominant not to be.
That's
Man.
holding strong for right now.
If the Rays and the Dodgers would have lost Series 1, this would have been nuts. So
yeah, if either of them lost to an 8th seed, that would have definitely probably would solidify that this playoff might stick around because the 8 guy has a shot.
Well,
but
I'm still saying don't discount the Yankees either.
I'm not.
We'll see. We'll see what happens.
The biggest thing is their pitching going to hold up besides Cole.
Well, they don't care about pitching. They're hitters. That's like San Diego. I feel like they just want to hit, and as long as they stay hot hitting, anything can happen.
Yeah. So, the wild card round. Let's. It's interesting. 3 games. It's better than I think the 1 game playoff for the wild card game. It's interesting. So at least you have to win 2.
Well, what I don't like is that every team had to play this wild card round, because usually we get 4 teams playing or something like that.
Yeah, you get 2 games, 4 teams playing. Win or die, go home.
Right, and I felt like since it wasn't expanded playoffs, the 1 seeds, maybe even the 2 seeds, should have had this off. They shouldn't even play the wild cards. You should let the shittier teams play to decide who's worthy enough to go into a real series.
So you kind of think about like football, where the top 2 teams got to bye.
Absolutely.
And then the bottom 4 would have battled each other out, kind of thing.
Absolutely, because like that gives the 8 seed more juice to play with. Like they're going to be able to play a team that's more around their range and say, hey, if we can beat this team, then we deserve to play the number 1 seed. But I feel like the number 1 seed, yeah, they should have at least had a bye week, because why are they playing a wild card game? They earned it. They should have, they earned it to get to sit this one out. Let the lower seeds play, and then from there, play the real series against teams that deserve to break.
I can see that. Like, I wouldn't mind where, if they do 6 teams,
yep,
where the 1 and 2 spots from each division gets your spot in. I could see that. I could like that, where the bottom 4 battle it. The 1 and 2 seeds get a bye.
Absolutely,
and it's a 3 game series where win 2 and you move on. I wouldn't mind that, actually.
Well, if they decide that they're going to keep this expansion, that's the only thing that makes sense to me, to make sense of letting half the field get in, because it doesn't make sense to let an 8 seed get in and then beat a 1 seed on a 3-game series, man. That's just nutso to me, because especially in baseball, man, I just feel like the 1 seeds earn their time off. They should get some kind of reward, or why not just go shoot for the 8 seed? You know what I'm saying? They should get some kind of reward.
Yeah.
So it makes sense to me.
If you did the 6th, then Reds and Milwaukee would not have been in the playoffs this year for the NL. And then AL, you're talking Blue Jays and White Sox would have been out.
Right. Well, what would you do if it was the 8 seed expanded, just like it was the bottom 2 teams on each side would play each other? Or I'm not sure, or maybe like I don't know, 2-8 versus. I'm just trying to say if it's a wild card, like a true wild card, kind of like we had a play-in game. See which team goes on and plays the other teams. Then we would have the 2 bottom teams playing to see who gets to move on to the next series, right? Just like a normal season.
I wonder, like, it's just so weird. Like, it was weird. I understand this year was fine because the short season.
I agree.
But it was interesting, but it was a little weird not having baseball this weekend, because everyone had to travel to the bubble.
Yeah.
But it's interesting. The biggest thing I think the rest of postseason is the biggest thing for like Yankees. They're not playing Yankee Stadium, which they have a big benefit playing there.
Agreed.
Yeah. And it's weird that, the 2 stadiums that the AL is using is the 2 NL teams that are, and the report of, the Dodgers squad is paying close attention to the Astros players and staff at their stadium, because I'm like,
I saw that, but they should. They have reason to, man.
It's interesting. We'll see what the owners meeting this offseason once the World Series is over. The biggest thing for us as Mets fan is see if Steve gets the vote, and then we'll see. I'm pretty sure this is going to be a vote on, like, do they keep the 8 teams, or expanded was on the roster to where instead of what was it before, 5 teams, to possibly expand to 6, like, or 7, whatever the thing was before. I don't know. It's just it was weird, definitely, but 2020 is a weird year.
Man, like I said, look, I'm not totally for the 8-game thing, or 8 teams making it, because that's half the field. But if it does happen, they need to look into that. Like I said, having like a wild card matchup first, because if you're that low and you're getting in, you need to play your series to get into the real game.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So we'll see how it works out.
So far in the playoffs, so the biggest matchups: Tampa Bay Yankees for the AL, and then of course Houston and A's, which they already played their game one by the time recording this. Houston won against Oakland, which was very shocking. I think it was like 10-5, if I remember correctly, earlier today.
Yeah, well, yeah. So this round is crazy because I expect this round to be exciting just because of the fact that we have all divisional matchups right now.
Yeah, that was a shocker. Once Miami beat the Cubs, I'm like, wait, they are all divisionals. Like, these teams have played each other since they couldn't travel really. They have all played each other numerous amount of times. But
right.
And then the shocker with today with Astros getting 16 hits against Oakland for 10 runs, and
that's nuts.
It's like,
well, yeah. I mean, so you got the Rays and Yankees out of the East. You got the Astros and A's out of the AL West. You got the Marlins and the Braves out of the NL East, and then you got the Dodgers and Padres out of the NL West. So, with that being said, like you said, we say this every time. If you're a team playing another team from your division, anything can happen. So I'm not counting out anybody right now. If the Padres beat the Dodgers, I would be surprised, but not super surprised because they've been playing them all year.
Since all these matchups are divisional, it would not surprise me if all four of these matchups go 5 games.
That would be nuts. That would be exciting.
Because if you think about it, each other. You should expect your scouting reports should be very close, ready to go. Because I'm pretty sure you should have faced most of these pitchers at least twice. You would think. And then it doesn't surprise me when they release the TV schedule that the Rays and Yankees and Dodgers and Padres are all primetime games this week. Yeah. and then that's making the Astros, A's, and Miami and the Marlins games all daytime games. It's like, it doesn't surprise me. Baseball's trying to recoup money. And the biggest thing is put the 2 biggest teams that's left in the playoffs in primetime to make people watch TV to get that money from advertisement up. It didn't surprise me when that schedule came out.
Well, that's what they need to do. And like you said, I mean, I would much rather watch the Rays and Yankees play or the Dodgers and Padres versus I don't know if I want to see the Marlins and Braves play. But if the Marlins and Braves make it to a 5-game series and the Marlins even end up winning, then you can't discount them at all.
No, it's going to be very interesting what that – because, who does what? It's like – it's interesting because, like tomorrow, they're going to start at 2:00 on FS1. Max Fred gets the ball, and the young, was it Escantra, the young guy, I think who's the AA guy for Miami, gets the start. So 2 young guys going after each other. And then Buehler's getting game 1 for the Dodgers. Padres to be determined because I'm pretty sure they're hoping that Clevenger is able to play the series because they're going to need Clevenger.
I agree. They need him. Absolutely.
Absolutely. The report is he could – so I think that's why they haven't announced anything because they're really hoping. And then Curtin Clayshaw is taking game 2 against them.
Right.
So that doesn't surprise me.
Because didn't he take game 2 of the last series?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would absolutely keep him in that rotation. Why not? Well, we'll see what happens, man. I don't know if all these games will go 5, but they absolutely could. Look, man, the biggest surprise to me is going to be the Marlins because I'm still not expecting them to be this far into it, especially against the Braves, who I expected to be pretty decent this year. If the Marlins make this competitive, yeah, and the Padres too. If the Padres can beat the Dodgers or get in there with their hits, it's going to be an interesting series.
I swear to Bob, if Miami somehow makes it to the World Series.
That's what I'm saying, man.
And they stay undefeated and somehow win it, I give up.
I'm like, Jeter, you knew it, man. You
like, how the hell, in the 3 times you make the postseason, you go to the World Series and win? Like, not win a division. We had 3 championships banners, but no division banners because we cannot win the division. We just win wild cards to get in. So I think that series should be competitive.
Well, like I said, the one that I'm most excited about is the Rays and Yankees.
Oh yes, like right now it's been back to back. Like they all trade off home runs so far. It doesn't surprise me. That's what this game is. Right. Cole has given up his most home runs in his career this year, and it doesn't surprise me that he already gave up a home run. Now Snell already gave up 2. He's in a little bit of trouble right now. But if Glasnow has his stuff working, And then Yankees start out their young guy Garcia tomorrow. That's the question mark. Tanaka got lit up last game, so I'm pretty sure he's starting game 3. Because remember, there's no travel days, so they're pitching every day. It's the question mark for the Yankees. So if they get in trouble, I'm pretty sure Cole's going to go on short rest. We all know that.
Yeah, he'd have to.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. Game 5, if it's a winner-tie game, Cole's getting the ball on short rest.
It'll be the same matchup, like Cole and Snell probably.
Most likely, yeah. If it's a winner-tie game but Glasnow will be ready to pitch out of the bullpen and stuff. If any of it, because So, and remember, there really be a day off for the AL. If they go 5 games, their last 5 games will be Friday. They'll get Saturday off to travel to the bubble location for the team who is not already at that stadium, and then they'll start Sunday. So it's not like you have a weekend of travel like you did this week to get whoever you want for game 1. You have to go normal. So, and the NL, same thing. They'll have Sunday off, and they'll travel Monday. But remember, starting Monday the 12th, they're going to get to have fans in the NLCS.
That's great. I miss seeing the fans.
11,000 people. Tickets go on sale tomorrow.
So that'd be equivalent to a sold-out crowd or the highest crowd that Harbor Park has had for us.
Very close, yeah.
It was about 11,000 and change.
I think it was, like 12 or 13, but still.
Yeah.
But it's cool. At least, 4 tickets each. They're going to be spaced. I'm almost certain bots are going to be in that thing, buying them, scalping the hell out of those things.
Absolutely.
I can't wait to see these prices go on StubHub and these other market sites to see what they're trying to charge, especially for the World Series too. I could imagine, you want to go to a sporting event, a finals, since nothing else has happened this year. I got this. But I'm glad there's something. The question mark after the World Series is spring training, is if fans will be allowed. Then it's like, what's next season going to be like? We'll see what the viruses come, I'm pretty sure January, February is when the owners and MLB guys start thinking about, are we going to do 50% of the stadium? How many spaces in between? Because teams like Mets and most other teams are selling season tickets next year. And a lot of people, transfer their season tickets from this year to next year. So it's like, we already got the money. So what do we do? So with the playoffs like it is, I'm probably going to stick my Rays out of the Yankees. I still think it's going to be close. Yankees can hit and get a pitcher out where they got to go to their bullpen, but I still think Rays has the pitching where they can make it to their first ALCS in a few years. Unfortunately, I would rather see this matchup in the ALCS.
I agree too.
I think if you're the 2 best teams in the AL, you would think of these 2 teams. Unfortunately, they meet this round.
Right. So what I'm saying is that whatever team wins this series, I expect to move on to the World Series.
I expect them to represent the AL, unless for some odd damn reason, Astros move on and somehow make it to the World Series again.
Not happening.
I'm like, you lost Verlander, you lost Cole, and somehow still made it to the World Series. I couldn't imagine.
No, like you said, the Astros barely made it into this expanded playoffs, and there's no way they're going to take a series from the Rays Yankees. I don't believe it. Absolutely not.
In the NL, I don't know. I clearly still think the Dodgers will win against San Diego, but it wouldn't surprise me if San Diego somehow knocking them out
because they're hot. Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me either. They're hot right now, so that wouldn't surprise me at all.
And then in the NLCS, you don't know. Does Miami scrap it out against the Braves, or does Braves young team finally get out that hump, and then can they shock the world and make it to the World Series?
Yeah, that's
with their young pitching. It's going to be interesting.
I think if any team could give them a run for their money, it would be the Braves.
Yeah, I think so. That young pitching, unfortunately, we do wish, Matt Soroka probably didn't get that injury, because they would be an even more dangerous team.
Yes.
If they didn't lose their ace. Think about how good Max Fred and Anderson has pitched this year. If they didn't lose their ace, you're talking about a 3-headed monster.
Well, I would think if Freddie Freeman decided to stay opt out or whatever,
Well, he didn't opt out. He just it was Markakis opted out, but opted back in.
Oh, okay.
But did you see the video of Freddie Freeman's son in the ballroom?
Yeah, man, he was crushing it.
I was like, damn, they brought the son to the bubble.
Made me think I need to take Peyton outside right now.
But it's gonna be interesting whenever after the series, they get a day off. And then 7 straight days of the CSs. and then I'm pretty sure it'll be a day off for them to travel, and then World Series, and then they'll at least get a day off to rest a normal day, which I don't get. Why not keep it like it is? But I guess because of probably Fox. It's got something to do with Fox TV. They had something already scheduled those days. It wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But yeah, it's gonna be an interesting round. Like, Rays Yankees 2-1 right now.
Yeah, bases loaded for the Yankees.
Tomorrow, 4 games on TV, starting at 2:00 all the way. The Dodgers and Padres start at 9:30. We'll see who Padres throw out against Buehler, and of course, everyone's wondering what was on Buehler's blister after that first game. They think it might have been some sticky substance on that I'm like, y'all just finding anything about cheating nowadays, like anything, like what's that on his finger? Probably Neosporin, but who knows? But it's interesting, like, baseball, and then it's unreal, like, no one's telling who's going to throw out. So, like, Houston, like, after, I'm pretty sure,
they got out of it.
I'm saying Houston is not throwing out. So it's just weird, like, Valdez, which, they're giving him the start against Oakland tomorrow.
Okay.
So, TBS and FS1, besides Miami and Braves on Wednesday, MLB Network has that set of FS1. So, but like I said, Braves and Marlins every day at 2:00.
Yeah.
You have baseball at 2:00. Astros and
terrible timing, but yeah.
Astros and Athletics are gonna be 3:00 the rest of the way.
Okay.
Rays and Yankees are gonna be at 7:00, and then the Dodgers and Padres are either 9 or 9:30.
Well, that's pretty good. That's pretty decent news. I mean, it's baseball all day long. That's nice.
Yeah, like, if if you get off at a decent time,
training.
Yeah, you get 4 games, and that was interesting. Was that second day of wild card round when you had 8 games on?
Oh yeah,
trying to go back and forth. Let's check on this game. Let's do this game. Like, it's unfortunate that you didn't have MLB TV where you can have the 4 split screens like during the season. And it's unfortunate. Like, luckily, I have my parents log in so I can watch these games on my computer and stuff because I don't have cable. So, like, cable cutters, cord cutters, it's hard time watching these on TBS, MLB Network. I'm certain. I think MLB Network's gonna be the trouble for me. I don't know if I could. I think I can log in, but so far it's been interesting with like TNT for the basketball. It lets you watch it now. Fox Sports lets you watch local football now. Okay. So I have that now. So people are getting more and more accessible, but you still got to have a cable provider login.
Yeah.
But it's getting a little easier. But anything else you got, man?
No, I think that's covered it all, man. We'll see how these playoff games play out. Yeah. And we'll have some more to talk about next week.
It is. Like, we'll see what happens in this game that's going right now between Snell and Garrett Cole. It doesn't surprise me. It's not a close pitching matchup, like 0-0 still. It's 2-1. Right. But we'll see when they go to bullpens, whose bullpen's better. And then tomorrow, 4 games. It's going to be interesting baseball. So that is it for us this week. We'll catch y'all next time. Peace.